disaster. Like when I say disaster, it's more so just like no one wants to spend the money for it. Because like in terms of reviews, it wasn't like a Golem, you know.
Yeah, no.
It wasn't a JJK Cursed Clash, which is still currently the lowest rated game of this year. Shout out to that at like a 42. It wasn't Kong Skull Island, but it was just a mid-ass game that no one wanted to spend $40 for.
I was about to say it was unfortunately just a game that came out, which I mean, in terms of idea, isn't terrible. It's just nobody wants that right now.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is, and I mentioned it multiple times, was like, why would you pay $40 for Concord when you can jump on Steam and find a myriad of free like hero shooters and that have more to them, more game modes and all of that. That, I mean, honestly, they all would have had more players than Concord. But yeah, why would you pay for that experience when you can get a better experience for like a free game?
Exactly. And like, it's just, there was nothing that stood out about this game. Like in terms of its gameplay, it was very bland. Like the world was super interesting. The characters were super interesting, especially if this was a single player narrative. But it's like what Zach just said. It's like no one just wanted this. No one wanted this. Like John was interested when the trailer started. And in the moment we saw gameplay, John was like, well, I'm out.
Yeah, that's the sad thing here, because it's quite possible this game, if it was a single player experience, might have done fairly well. But in terms of multiplayer, just, nobody wanted this.
Yeah.
It's like, speaking of my reaction to it, like from their cinematic trailer when it was debuted, I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, oh man, this is really cool. This is awesome. Cut to gameplay. I go, never mind.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore.
Exactly. It was that quick. Like, it's just like, no, see, I enjoy hero shooters, but like this, you know, I can look at an IP, I can look at an idea like this and say, that probably would have been better off as a narrative experience. Because like, if you would have really just dialed it in and went for like that Guardians of the Galaxy level kind of vibe with this little ragtag team, you know, dude, you could have had a banger original IP.
And they were going to sort of focus on that because it was the whole thing. Like, they were going to have weekly cinematic storylines for each of the characters.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, this is such a baffling experience. And it's like, it's so funny to me that they just immediately like, oh, yep, we're done. We're just going to go
they
ahead.
pulled the plug real quick.
Yeah, like they didn't even attempt to give it some sort of life by like adding it part of PlayStation Plus or making it or free to play and issuing refund at that point, which obviously would have lost money regardless. But it's like there was not even an attempt. It was just like, it's done. It's done. And now the physical version is selling for a lot of money.
I bet it is.
Oh my God, yeah, no. If you could find a physical version at a store nearby, I would buy it. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, that's gonna be a collector's piece in gaming history. Because like in terms of in gaming history, like it's tough to say what is the biggest flop in gaming history. I think that is tough to say. I know a lot of people like to immediately point to E.T. because like the game was literally buried. So it's like I get that too. But it's like, you know, there's a lot of debate on it. But this is at least one of the top flops in history.
Well, I mean, I would say this is the biggest flop in modern gaming history. 100%.
Easily.
I could agree to that.
And like realistically, it is a contender for the biggest flop in gaming history.
It is.
Just full stop. Because it's not just, the game came out and like nobody wanted it. They immediately issue refunds or anything. It's the time put into it.
Yeah.
It's the money put into it. Like $250 million, 8 years. And like full confidence that the game was going to succeed, and it comes out and everybody goes, yeah, why would we want this?
Yeah.
They were so confident they aired it at the same time as Marvel Rivals.
Right. Part of the same state of play.
It's such a it's so
crazy,
so baffling that they would that they would be so confident in it, because who's been like, what part of any gaming community is going, you know what we really need right now? A hero shooter.
Right.
We need a generic hero shooter.
Yeah.
With an interesting backstory that has no bearing on the game.
Mm-hmm. That sounds fun.
Somebody was.
I mean, like, compare that to. I mean, I keep bringing it up, but it's because it's the total opposite story right now. Deadlock.
Yeah, yeah.
Deadlock is still invite only, early alpha state playable. Gets up, is hitting like 170,000 peak players every day, close to 200,000. You know, and I mentioned it to Zach. One of the characters, their backstory just says he's an asshole. It's like you don't. It's like people are gonna play the game that feels good.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like you have Concord come out, and I mean, a couple hundred people were playing it.
Yep.
And then you have another game that came out that, I mean, it's like people who haven't played MOBAs really might call it a hero shooter to start with before they get into it really. I mean, but at the end of the day, difference between a hero shooter and a MOBA is not terribly different.
No.
And on one side, you have all this development time and money that just completely flops. Nobody wants it. On the other side, people can't stop playing it.
Right.
It's like, I mean, hell, this morning, me and a couple buddies were waiting on the servers to come online this morning so we could play. We were in as soon as the servers came up. But it's just, oh man, it's so weird to see that difference at the exact same time.
Right. Just extreme vast differences. Like I said, like everything about this game is just so damn fascinating to me. Because like I mean, like in terms of what you said, where it has contention to be the biggest flop of all time, it totally does. Because like the one thing you gotta keep in mind is not only like the money spent and like the time spent, but like this is a notable company, of course. This is not a third party, like a third party random studio that put out a game that just flopped like the day before. Like this is Sony. Like it's not even a notable third party. This is Sony. This is PlayStation. Like this is supposed to be one of their IPs, one of their big games of the service they want. Like, dude, it's just so baffling to me how
the
this
other
gone
thing
down.
was if like when you actually read their statement about it when they talked about shutting it down, they open it up with something along the lines of "Dear Concord community." It's like, what community?
Right.
It's like you barely have enough people playing to call it a community.
Yep.
And it's like they go on to say like, oh well, it seems like there was a disconnect between what we expected to happen and what happened. It's like, yeah, just nobody wanted it.
Right.
I don't know who you were marketing this game for.
You know, in terms of also what you were talking about just seeing like the vast difference between like the excitement around like Deadlock and like Concord, the same thing can also be said for just like how crazy of a bomb Concord is. And then they just had the mass success of Helldivers just a few months ago. Like, just the contrast between them is so different. And it's just baffling to me. Like, that's why everything about this damn game is so freaking fascinating.
It's also one where, like, in the past few years, we've gotten used to Sony just knocking shit out of the park.
Right.
And then Concord happens, and it's like, oh, okay, you're not infallible.
Right. Oh my gosh, dude. No, I did see that because I was curious. I was trying to refresh my memory on some others, whatever. And Concord has officially made the biggest commercial failures list on Wikipedia. So shout out to that.
All right.
Yeah, it made that list already.
I just would. Concord lasted 2 weeks.
Yep.
It made it 10 days before they shut the game down.
Yep.
That's the Sony side of it.
Yep.
The Microsoft side of it. Redfall is still up.
Yes, it is.
I've seen people
being
say
worked
that.
on, and people are. There's probably more people playing Redfall than there were playing Concord.
Oh, most definitely. Because I was just thinking about it. I mean, on the opposite spectrum of Xbox had Redfall last year.
Yep.
And yeah, now Sony gets Concord. And because all I could think was like, was it the same idea, guys, for both these games?
Right.
Man, for Concord, like when we did our predictions at the beginning of the year, I made the bold prediction there would be no big like first party flops this year, and I probably could have made some arguments. I got nothing now.
I was about to say Concord just completely sank that one.
If it wasn't for Concord, it's like I probably could have made some arguments here and there.
Right.
Because I mean,
Did you get reminded of that when I posted in the Discord?
No,
Okay.
I had already thought of that, but no, like because I forget, was Suicide Squad last year or this year?
That was
was
this
this
year,
year.
and it was a flop. It is also on the biggest commercial failures list for Wikipedia.
You know, honestly, probably could have tried to make an argument for it though, because there is.
I mean, it's still live. There's
still-
in season 2.
It's still live. They've made multiple seasons, and people are still playing it.
Yeah.
They got Lady Frost currently,
Oh,
or
okay.
Mrs. Freeze, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the flops prediction, that one.
That was still a bold one.
That
We knew
was
from
bold.
day one.
Yeah, no, I don't know what made me randomly remember our predictions. I was going through the Discord, like cleaning up some stuff, and I clicked that channel. I noticed I hadn't posted yet from earlier this year. I'm like, oh, well, fuck, I gotta go re-listen to the episode real quick. And I had it on like 2 times speed. I'm just going through, typing it all out as we go through. And I get to that where you're like, John's like, there will be no flops from any major publishers this year. I had to pause the video. I'm like, did he say that? I don't remember that.
Yep. I remember him saying that.
Although, I got the Pokemon offshoot, probably
did.
Legends,
Yeah.
and in the post it
yeah.
says Kalos.
Yes, no, yes, he did correctly predict Kalos Legends. He did correctly predict that. I'm giving him the point. So shout out to that. Let me see.
Like I said, I can't predict at the beginning of the year for shit, but midway I'm pretty good. By that point, I seem to have got a read on it.
Yeah. No, so for the Pokemon one, I gave you an X and I gave you 2 checks because you pretty much nailed it, right? Because like the one X you got is there's going to be a game coming out this year. That's your only X. But other than that, you did predict Legends and Kalos, so great job. Also, great job to your 6th prediction, which was Power World will come out and take over the internet for at least a month. That's actually pretty.
I know how
accurate.
these viral games work.
For at least a month. Power World is still fun, but you nailed it completely on how long it was going to take over. So shout out to that. Oh man, no, the Concord thing though, fascinating. Rest in peace, Concord. I guess.
That's gonna be one where people are gonna stop talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
It's gonna be brought up in conversations for the next 10, 15 years.
100%.
Anytime somebody, like, I think I saw a post somewhere, I don't remember where, it may have been in the comments section of like an article posted about it or something. But they basically, somebody said, yeah, Concord is essentially just going to be turned from a title to a verb now.
Damn.
It really is. That's a good way to put it. Holy shit.
Yeah, where it's like anything for the next few years that comes out and flops, people are going to be saying they Concorded it.
Yeah, oh, that's true. It's about to be part of the Urban Dictionary now. That's accurate. I was going to ask you guys this. I feel like we've already started to see that transition because I know there was the reports that Sony had already kind of pulled back on it, but they still had some planned, obviously, with Concord. Do you think this massive failure is going to you really make Sony look in the mirror and just reevaluate their entire strategy going forward? Because the strategy was 10 plus live service games coming out. And then there was reports where a lot got canceled, including The Last of Us 1. Do you think this is like with the failure of Concord and success of Astrobot, do you think this is going to make them reevaluate their entire strategy and just do what they do best?
Honestly, I don't think they care.
Oh,
I mean, I'm in the same boat. I mean, they may go back to the drawing board and like adjust some things, but I don't think it's going to change drastically.
Like overall, like the vibe I've been getting from like Sony with this news and like kind of stuff we'll talk about shortly with them is like, in their opinion, they're like, it didn't work. We'll just do another one. We'll just do something else.
right.
It's like for them, they're like, especially with how quick they cut it off. It's like, kind of sucks that didn't work, but
Yeah, it was a very quick cutoff.
That was quick, yeah.
We'll move on to the next thing now. Because, I mean, I guess that's part of their mentality because for the last few years, they've gotten used to just banger, banger, banger. And they're like, oh, this one failed. Let's just get rid of it. People will forget about it, hopefully.
Yeah, people will move on. They'll forget about it until it becomes a verb, like John said. No, I mean, that's actually fair. You know, like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it sucks, but it's like it's a lot of money lost, but how much money is it lost for Sony? Like that's kind of the way to look at it. But there's a part of me that wants to believe it's going to make them change their strategy to some degree, where they don't have, obviously the reports where they're not doing 10 plus live service games, but they still have some. Maybe now they only have one they're going to try to dial it into, and then focus on single player experiences that they know are going to sell, like maybe like the next Horizon or the next Ghost or the next Spider-Man, or a Spider-Man spinoff. Maybe they try to revive the Great Web that, in my opinion, should have never been canceled. I think that could have been your live service game to make money, but instead we get Concord. So whatever. I don't know. The Sony strategy is fascinating.
We'll just make a new PlayStation All-Stars Brawl.
Dude, now's the time. Okay, like should have already done it. I wouldn't say now's the time, but should have already done it is the better way to put it. Should have already done it. You have more characters that you can dial it in for, to it, whatever. It's just like, should have already done this. You should have been launched, with the PS5. Should have already been a thing. But I feel like if they have one that comes out now, it's going to be like missed opportunity of the window of when it should have come out, right?